Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 195. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked in the SEO Questions community on Google+, on the Dumb SEO Questions page on Facebook, and also via at Twitter, and it is Dumb SEO QS. Okay, with us tonight we have Masataki Wasa. Masataki is webmaster of wasaweb.net, WASAWEB.net. Masataki lives in Wimbledon in London, and he is also a Google Top contributor on the AdSense community. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is Senior SEO Manager for Zendesk.com in the USA. He's joining us from it's near Mountain View, isn't it? But Silicon Valley? No?
Silicon Valley, you could say it from Silicon Valley.
Okay, Silicon Valley in the USA, on the west coast of the USA. Mike is a regular also on the SEO public speaking circuit. Tim Capper is a Google Top contributor in the Google My Business community. He hails from Corby, 27 miles north of London. He is proud to call himself an SEO. You can find Tim at onlineownership.com. Okay, our first question tonight is titled Angular JS content. It's a question from Louise Lee, who said, should you pre-render Angular JS content to help SEO, or is this against Google recommended guidelines?
Okay, yeah. So you do want to pre-render. That's one option. The thing to keep in mind is about how that is implemented. It is quite kind of a technical area, but you also need to be mindful that not every search engine can run JavaScript. And there's still areas in which Google can sometimes fail. So if you're running this at scale, I would recommend avoiding. It will increase Googlebot's crawl time of the site, which means new pages going in is going to take longer and slows things down. Bing doesn't necessarily render JavaScript as well, and then some of the other more regional engines are not capable at this time of running JavaScript, so you're automatically putting yourself potentially at a disadvantage by running kind of whether it's Angular or any other types of JavaScript. But if your main area is then on Google, then it's less of an issue. And it's just making sure that if you're doing it at scale, you need to make sure you run it correctly, be prepared for slower indexations, new pages getting indexed, and but otherwise, yeah, you should more or less do kind of a pre-render.
Thank you, Micah. Anybody else on this? I'd like to thank Siraj Gadagay for his answer also. Basically said the same as you, Micah. All right, let's go to our next. This one from Niraj Pandey on domain migration. I won't try to read it all. I'll just read the start of it. He said, hi community, in a white label tie-up from a company from the operators page, if someone searches, he lands on our online travel agent search result, which is something like opname.my. He gives a link domain.com/search/date. And from this URL, if you remove everything after .com, it means opname.my. Domain.com. I'm pretty well lost. I hope you guys are with this. And type this into Google. It is 302 redirect to the op website, opname.com. And from that website, he selects source and destination in the widget and clicks on the search button. He again comes to our subdomain. Well, like search/dot, etc., because of 302 redirect. My subdomains are indexed in the search engines, and if a user types or clicks in the search engine results page, it is redirected to the operator website. So now I'm using domain migration, and op wants the same redirection, wants to be on. So please suggest how to manage that these pages are not indexed in the search engine, and I can keep on the redirection but remove index. Wow. I'm not sure if I understand the question. Did anybody get a clue on this one? Niraj, we're going to have to pass on this one, mate. I'm so sorry. I didn't notice it in the run list, and I really haven't got a handle on what you're asking here. Let me just have a quick look again. No, I just can't get it. All right, I'm sorry, mate. We'll have to pass, and please, if you can clarify, I'll run it again next week. All right, this one is from Tony Tigarito McCreath, Adelaide's leading SEO. Tony asked a question titled Short Lifetime Products. Many e-commerce websites have products that come and go. This is more significant if they sell second-hand products that have a short lifetime value and get replaced with similar products. Other stores have products that go out of stock for periods and then return. What is the current best advice for dealing with this churn?
Oh, let's see. Common themes for this. Yeah, two camps on this. I've seen people say just 410 them. So yeah, it depends on the value of them. If they're temporarily and then gone and they haven't necessarily done any link value, any long-term value to them, you can just pretty much 410. If on the other hand they've gotten value, then I would suggest, sorry, just seeing what Jim's putting a piece of paper up. Then I would suggest redirecting these over to a relevant product. You can handle kind of to a central location. You can also create a centralized page that has what it's always going to be. Make it kind of, rather than redoing the page every time and recreate a new URL, you can have that be the central location for your temporary product. That way, when it goes out of stock, you can always then, and it comes back with a similar product, you don't have to change the URL, you don't have to try to regain value for those temporary products. You can just re-upload it to that same page and internally link to it and highlight it again when the new product comes back, a new product comes back in turn.
Yeah, sorry about the distraction, Micah. Boris wanted to come in, so
Oh, you can't see the dog?
I, well, he's just down there, but it just out of shot, and I'll have to move my laptop to I'll try.
Nah,
Hang on a minute.
but
Hang on. Can we get it up there? Let me see.
I see the
No,
colors.
it's too dark. Well. Okay. All right. The other thing, the thing I'd like to add to your exceptionally good answer, Micah, is that what we do is have a category called discontinued products, and it just changes the classification. That product drops out of the category listings. It doesn't show up on a search of the site of the product database, and it drops into discontinued. And so that allows the client, when the product comes back into stock again, to just simply uncheck the discontinued, and it's back running again. It still has page rank. It's still showing up in search. I think that's a better, that is a good result. Certainly, it works for one of our clients anyway. All right, let's go to the next. I'll just click the button on this one. Vignesh Conflict has a question titled "Partially Crawled." He said, "Can anyone help me, please, with www.sumingotrip.ch? This is an online booking taxi site in Switzerland, and we have differentiated state, city, and area. Here, Google webmasters are crawling the correct meta tag in state and city categories, but in the area section, it will not crawl it. It will crawl the homepage meta tag, but in my site, they are shown correctly, but Google Webmaster could not properly taken. Images are shown below. Please check it and reply. Thank you."
Well, for me right now, the homepage doesn't load, so that's not helpful. Or no, that's not the homepage. That's one of the category pages. So, what is it? What do we call it? Not category. The state page doesn't load. Let's double check that. Yeah, the state page doesn't load for me, so yeah, that's probably not helpful. What is this? Drop down address. You've got, what is this? Oh, whoa. City selection, a massive list. Oh, that starts down the page? Ugh. Let's do that. So I get a pop-up right away. So my question would be, does Googlebot see the same thing? So if you're showing a pop-up like this right off the bat, that might be potentially off-putting to Googlebot. So I would do a render of the page in Google Search Console and see how it looks. Yeah, Do you guys have any? Do you guys see anything on the state page? Because the state page is just not loading for me.
Let me try.
City and area both have the same title. Looks like the same title description, so that's going to be on not helpful for them as well. Oh God.
The home page does load for me.
Not the homepage. Sorry, I misstated at the start. State page.
The state page. Let me see.
I can't get the drop down to even work.
That's the drop down. Is there drop downs? I just left you click on the link. Whoa. What the?
Yeah, there's like a select canton at the top, but
Yeah. Not only that, any of the main links don't go anywhere. Like if you try, I don't even know the sections. If it looks like different cities or states, you can't click in. They just go back to the top of the page.
yeah.
And when you click on Verashbuchung, or whatever it is, you get this car moving across the screen before you go to whatever the next page is. So
Yeah, I can't click like any. So the drop down doesn't work for the select canton or area. I can't actually select the area I want, like I'm trying to Zurich. Yeah, it takes me back to the top of the page. I wonder if you can get to it with a site query. Search to see if, or at least something is showing up there.
yeah, to me, things look kind of broken, basically. It looks like the exact same page. The content looks the exact same. So when you go down to any of these other pages, everything looks the same. The style looks the same. The content looks the same. So yeah, what's the value? Like, there's no. It doesn't look like there's any difference.
Okay, so I just picked a page when I did a site query. Uberruns. Now I don't know if that's an area. I'm not entirely sure. Because obviously I had to come out of the EN language site. But this page, the content on the page is superimposed over the map, and I literally can't read the content.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot that's just broken with the page. I mean, look, if you look at the cache version, yeah, I would strongly suggest going to Search Console and running how Google renders the page. I think there's a good chance what you've implemented is technically not SEO friendly, as well as just visually and UX wise.
Okay, I'm sorry, mate. I'm not laughing, but I'm doing a site query search here, and kind of like sort of scrolling through, and then I come across an HTTPS www.servingotrip.ch:8443/. That's Plesk. Yeah. You know what? Take some of your internal pages. I mean, we can't actually click on them, and just pop it into fetch and render in your webmaster tools, and it's going to tell you, a lot of stuff on what Googlebot can access, can't access, or why. And then I really think you need to speak with your developer. Hang on, I think I might have found a page. I think I found for Barnhof. Okay, it's not loading. Seems stuck on something. Okay, still trying to load. Taxi booth. Okay, but no, but when I want to try and change again, it's not. Yeah, I think something. Yeah, there's something definitely wrong. Mm. Each page seems to be on an internal loop. So if you use site query, find an internal page, go to the internal page, then you try and actually navigate within that internal page. All the links within that page are to that internal page. But it seems as if there's just, loops within each page.
Yes, Vignesh, it's obvious you've been working hard on this site. I mean, well, put it this way, you've done a lot of work, but you have so many technical issues. I think this is time to tidy up your code, and I see all of your JavaScript and CSS are 4 folders down. That's just a headache, mate. Don't do that. And it just seems to me like you're trying to do too much, and you have so many technical issues that I would fix them first before worrying about SEO. Anybody have any disagreement with that?
No, I just think it just needs to be technically rewritten completely.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, you're spamming keywords. Either don't use the keywords meta tag, or just put a couple of words in it that are actually legitimate and useful to the page. But if they're not in the body text, don't bother putting them into a keywords meta tag. A lot of people here will tell you that not to use it, but I still use it. No, it just needs work, mate. You've got to tidy up one step at a time, and then once you fix the technical issues, then start worrying about SEO. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we call it. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Once you fix the technical issues, you'll obviously see an immediate improvement because Googlebot will be able to actually read it, understand it, crawl it. You'll see an immediate improvement, which will also help you to understand where to start working with, with SEO as such. At the minute, it's where would you start? If you took us to any SEO, they wouldn't be starting on anything other than fixing the site's crawlability and readability. That's the first starting point that an SEO would be working on, and that's where you should be working on. Yeah.
Okay. Let's tweet that and move on to the next. Got 12 questions tonight. All right. Padmanab Daga asks, what is good marketing for a Shopify site?
Well, Shopify is like any website. Obviously, it depends on what you've put in, what your pages, your product pages. It's like any regular site. You can, some will have product structured data markup. Some have not chosen to implement it. It's not as if just by being on a Shopify platform is going to. So there could be issues in terms of your actual site itself and what you have or have not done to optimize pages, etc. But let's just assuming that's all hunky-dory. Shopify is like any business, it's just a platform. So the question is who are your customers and how are you going to reach those customers? So that is the question. So I don't know. Let's just I don't know. Let's say dresses. So it's a dress. You just do women's dresses, okay? Now, again, I'm assuming that the site is technically fine, correct? So how are you going to reach? You need to understand your customers. How are you going to reach those customers? At what stage? What stage of a process do people search? They don't necessarily search. Buy a black dress. They may be looking for different options for an evening dress. They may be looking for day dresses. What are the styles this year in 2016? Because I don't know, they might be going to the races this year and they haven't been in 5 years, so they just want to see what the trends are this year. So you need to be creating content around those desires or the intent that your customers are looking, are looking for around your product. What are customers searching around their product in order to find the site that answers their questions or their needs? So you need to be looking at content that's going to satisfy your users' questions on site. Then, in terms of off-site marketing, there's a load of things. There's obviously AdWords. You could look at marketing on other women's wear sites with banner advertising, etc., things like that. You could look at advertorials in fashion magazines, for example. Just because it's a website doesn't mean, marketing has been around for a long, long time. It's just a question of tailoring that specific marketing where your customers are likely to be looking. So that's content on your own site in terms of articles that you believe your customers would be interested in the sense that this year's latest fashion trends, in terms of dresses or whatever, things like that, where your customers would find interesting, other people would find interesting who are looking for dresses, and then think, oh, well, whilst I'm here, oh, look at that, that's a nice dress, I'll have a look at that one, I'll have a look at that one, etc. But then it doesn't stop.
I can't picture you buying a dress, Jim.
I like dresses. I like them. So the silky feel of my nipples. No, so, and then of course it doesn't stop with just your site. There's external marketing. Where can I place, or how can I, leverage other sites out there? Could I potentially market on them? Paid advertising in terms of banner advertising or advertorials. Are there other ones out there who would happily, other brands that we work with, brand affinity, that wouldn't mind me actually publishing an article that kind of incorporates theirs? So would they be happy with me publishing on there? Have you actually reached out to journalists? I mean, it's a bit difficult when you don't tell us what your product is or what your site is. So have you reached out to the journalists? Have you just launched some amazing new product that's going to, in your guys' eyes, revolutionize, dresses this year, sequins on dresses? Have you, who have you pushed that out to? Which journalists? Which magazines? Which, brands? Would they be interested in that? Would they be interested to learn about that? Can you send them, images or samples before the official release date, so they can get a look at it? There's tons of ways to market. Literally, and I know, because you're thinking, oh, website, everything's online. No, I don't know what you are, depending on what it is. literally, even a local flyer drop with whatever you particularly are, what your product is. Marketing is expansive. It's a massive subject. You just need to identify who your customers are and what their potential points in the purchasing decision that they tend to make online, and how can you position your site or your marketing material in those key areas that your user would potentially find themselves during a decision-making process online or even offline.
Yep. You have to build a site good enough to entice Tim Capper to buy a dress. That's what you've got to do. Wow. I just can't get that picture out of my mind.
What, mate? Wearing a dress?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's just It's just I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Well, Jim.
Here's one for all you technical guys, and it's from Michael Tigulo, who has a KML task for you. I think it's a geo task. Michael said, "Hey guys, I have a KML task, but I don't have any idea on how to put the generate codes on the root directory of the website. Can anyone teach me how to do it? Thanks." Um, but I don't know anything about KML, but I'm fairly sure it doesn't go on the root directory. No,
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing from me.
Michael, I'll try and track down an answer for you, but I'm sorry, we don't have an answer for you tonight. KML is outside our job description. All right, let's move on to the next. Here's one from Chase Rayner. It's titled "Title Tags Are Too Long." Chase asked, does fixing issues with different pages on a site affect the overall SEO of all the pages on the site? For instance, say the home page has fine on-page SEO, but the about page doesn't. It could be that the title tags are too long, no headers, missing meta description, etc. After fixing the about page, will it help the home page rank higher?
No, no, but it will help your about page. So it's not as if it's not going to help the site, but it will help that particular page that you're fixing. Because if the title, for example, was being cut off, and you tighten it up nicely, you follow best practice in terms of the H1 on page, and the title. If it's a local business, trying to obviously get the locality into there. So it's not necessarily going to help your home page, but it will help that particular page. And I suppose in the long term, not from an SEO, not from a sort of a ranking perspective, but in a long-term approach to the entire site as a whole, it would benefit the entire site as a whole because, of course, each page will be clearly defined, clearly structured. It will be holding its own weight within that particular area in search results itself, which will naturally benefit the entire site itself. So, but as a direct correlation between if I fix my title and meta description and on-page stuff on an internal page somewhere, will it boost my home page? No.
Yeah, totally agreed. All right, Massa, anything from you? All right, moving on to the next. I'll just tweet this one. This one is from Ankit Patel, who said, "Hi all, we have purchased some white label software products from a well-known branded agency. Now, the main branded company has all kinds of tutorial, brackets, content and images, snapshots relating to product, how to use the product tutorials on how to use the product on their website blog. Now, my question is for all of our white label products, do we need to rewrite all the content to post on our blog, or should we go with duplicate content given by the main company for our blog? We have the permission to post the same blog on our site, but we are afraid that our website may be caught by the Google Panda penalty. Thanks, Ankit."
Okay, personally for me, I would certainly take that content and make it my own, because so there's two things here. Why, if you were white labeling something, you want it in theory to look yours when it's. But if their content is visible, if somebody happened to just I don't know, check something or do something, it's going to be clearly not yours when you are but saying it is. Okay, so from that perspective, I would obviously use the content because they're describing the product into etc etc, and as the company who obviously created it or whatever, they know it very well inside and out. So I would use their content as a sort of a template, but then, and you may not use all of it, but I would certainly rewrite it from your company's perspective to your particular type of customers. So I certainly wouldn't copy and paste it. I would try and mold that content into your site. What particular bits that you're using of that, or what particular bits you like sort of white labeling, and obviously appealing to your particular type of customer that you're trying to target. So I certainly not copy and paste. I would certainly use it as a reference, but present it as create and present your own version of it or form of it.
Yeah. And another thing that Anchor has to consider is that, I mean, if they're white labeling this product, they didn't white label it just for them alone. There'll be other sites that are using this white labeled content, and probably you have to question the value of using it at all. If there's 50 other sites using it and you're 51, where is the benefit? Although I suppose the benefit is that the user is benefits.
Well, if you're white labeling it and all 50 of them just copied and pasted it, this is your opportunity to actually, because naturally they're your competitors. If you're all white labeling the same kind of product, you're all in the same sort of marketplace. Your opportunity now is to actually take that content, make it better, and for your particular customers. So the other 50 are copy and pasting. The other 50s are all going to be competing naturally and being filtered by themselves, filtered out of the search results, which leaves you the perfect opportunity to take that content, make it your own, unique, for your site and for your customers, and actually outshine, use this opportunity to outshine the other companies that are white labeling this or just too lazy and copying and pasting.
Yeah. All right, let me tweet that, and then we'll move on to the next. Question number 9 on your own list is from John Pitcher. John's asked a number of questions of us. This one is on link manipulation. John said, I have one established blog post on facts about my hometown, which includes, among other interesting facts, famous people associated with that town. I have a separate established blog post just on famous people associated with my home county, listed in alphabetical order within type, actors, writers, etc. On the famous people county post, I would like to list famous people associated with my hometown and then give a more info link to my hometown post. That would make the listing more comprehensive without duplicate content. My question is, if I suddenly create 20 to 40 additional links from my county post to my hometown post, will Google's algorithms think this is manipulation in some way and penalize me? Note that if my approach is okay, I would probably do the same for other county posts, film and TV, literary mentions, etc., and also link items in these back to the single interesting facts for town post, which is a pretty comprehensive post for that town. I'm not trying to do SEO sculpting. I want my county post to have a comprehensive list without duplicating content. But I don't want to have 20, 40 no-follow links all leaking link juice either.
Is it just me who thinks that he's overthinking this?
Well, Suraj Ganagay seems to agree with you, Masataki. He said in answers on the SEO Questions community, he said at some point we should stop worrying about Google.
Yeah, it is really a question about user experience, isn't it? Is it useful for the user to have that, and those links so that user can go and visit those pages? And from the description, it sounds as if that is the case. So I really wouldn't worry too much about it because it's an internal. Because the links are all internal, aren't they?
Well, I imagine so, although it might be on another site. Let me have another look.
I thought it was a blog section that was.
Yeah, he says it has a separate established blog post.
Yeah,
blog.
So that is probably within the same domain, I would have thought.
Well, he's not normmally. People usually only have one blog on a site, so I would have guessed that it's a separate on another site.
Okay.
But truly, I don't think that matters, and I wouldn't even bother no following them. I think we overuse no follow. I would just use straight links.
Yes, I think that's what I meant by overthinking this, because it seems to make sense to have those links. There are editorial reasons why those links should be there, because the subject matters are connected and they'll be useful for the visitor. So starting from that basis, I wouldn't worry about the number of links as such, and I certainly wouldn't no-follow those links.
Yeah. Okay, I see William Rock has joined us. William is an SEO from Kansas in the USA. Is that the state that the girl went down the rabbit hole?
I'm not quite sure, but good morning, guys. Yeah, I don't know if that's the same state. I haven't heard about that. That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
No, the Yellow Brick Road.
Oh yes, Dorothy, Wizard of Oz.
Yes. That was your state, was it, Kansas?
That it is. In fact, I used to have a driver's license with the Scarecrow, so it was quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was not a real driver's license.
Okay. We're on question 9 on the run list, William. If you did you have the link?
To follow or not to follow?
Well, it's more than that. He's wondering whether it should be duplicate where it should be considered as duplicate content as well. But his main question is, if he suddenly creates 20 to 40 additional links from his county post to my hometown post, will Google's algorithms think this is manipulation in some way and penalize him?
I'd probably say, is it good information that's helping the visitor experience? Or is that just kind of diluting into, putting more links on a page?
No, I think we can take it as a given that it's useful.
Sorry, I just got a big truck came by.
All right. Look, I think the consensus, John Pitcher, is that there's nothing to be concerned about here. I mean, Google does have patents for watching what people do in changing their site and so on, but adding 20 to 40 additional links, I don't think would be anywhere near their radar. And why would they? I mean, why should they? Anyway, let's tweet that. Thank you, guys. And let's go to number 10 on our run list, I think it is. Greg Christan wants to know of a good technical SEO book for him. Can anyone recommend a good technical SEO book for me? I feel like I know the basics, but I am sure there is much more out there, and a book is something I can take on my long plane ride in the next month. Thanks. The trouble with a book is that SEO is changing all the time and changing so rapidly that at the lowest level, anything that's anywhere near advanced might be outdated. I mean, I'll give you an example. Guest posting was promoted by Matt Cutts. Matt Cutts came out with a clip which suggested that webmasters post on other webmasters' sites with a link back to their site, and that was an absolutely legitimate practice. But it became so popular and so widely used that it became against Google guidelines.
No, it's not against Google guidelines. It depends on the crap that you're churning out and on what sites. Guest posting became literally article directories. That was the problem. Low quality sites, low quality articles, because people were trying to get more and more out. They weren't actually getting them properly written. They started using spin writers. So low quality sites, low quality articles. It was literally just filling up the web with crap.
And plus you had on top of that spam that came along with comments from tools, right? So you have the bad page, Tim, and then also you have the bad comments. So user-generated contents, I think people get confused by the realness of, you can still use.
Guest posting, or basically writing an article and being featured on in an article is I mean if you just developed a waterproof, I don't know, bloody shampoo, right? and this was like the biggest thing since sliced bread, and you were featured in your product was featured in Times and Forbes, etc., and they asked you and they interviewed you also at the same time. That is also technically a guest post because you, as the person, are also appearing within it and providing them images, etc. So essentially, where you draw the line on what is called a guest post, because anything out there is marketing content that you're pushing out that hopefully people are going to publish. So essentially everything out there is a freaking guest post, apart from a news article where they are writing about news that's happened and they're not requiring any information from the actual company. So everything's a guest post. The situation to Google now is the quality of the site that's publishing it and the quality of the article. If every single article on a blog links out to another company in that article, it's not benefiting anyone, so the point is, there is a line with guest posting. But guest posting is still on quality sites, and it doesn't even have to be something that you actually submitted. Anything in the sense that you submitted a pitch to a publication, a newspaper, a magazine. If that goes online, that is in essence a guest post because you pitched that to the media, to that journalist, to that, So essentially everything online is a guest post, apart from a news outlet that's writing about the car crash that happened that blocked the motorway for 5 hours. Essentially everything else you read online is a guest post. So the question is, as always, what was the intent of that post? And in theory, any link coming from that should, in theory, be no follow.
Yep, and John Mueller said that in 2013, which you read in that link I put in the chat there. Okay, right. Steering back towards Greg's original question, though, my fault we digressed there. Greg's looking for a good technical SEO book. I hope he won't be offended if I suggest Google's PDF. What's it called, William Rock?
Well, I was going to the Google Webmaster Academy to start out with, and that provides a lot of in-depth information about how search works, and basically some of the things that Tim had covered. You can probably go out to like Moz, not the book, so to say, but just type in Google algorithm updates in Google, and you'll get
he's looking for a book. He's going to be on a plane. I think he's doing a long haul, and he wants to.
He wants a PDF or something. Yeah, when you put it into a book, it's already outdated. I mean, there's the guidelines, like probably from Jennifer Slegg. Probably print out and read those. But
he's saying technical, so I don't think he's talking about stuff like a landing page and how to optimize a landing page. I think he's looking for I think he's looking
I mean, David Amberlin's got a pretty good book that he could probably pick up.
Yeah,
But right offhand, to find a book, I don't really.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky actually thinking about a book. Yeah,
I'd say go out to Tim Capper's website and take a look at the reads of his recent posts, and you'll see exactly what's going on the internet.
And I think looking at I think looking at Greg's last thing, he said sort of, and also ways that would uncover website issues on a technical side. That's going to be a bit difficult in a book, Greg, because essentially most guides and things out there will link to a resource and say, you know, check this out, or look at the back end of this, or use this tool to uncover this. And doing that on a plane, yeah. I mean, I'll have a think, but off the top of my head, I really don't know of a book.
Tim, I think you should build a book now.
What's that, William?
I said, Tim, I think you have to write a book now.
No, mate. No. I can't keep up. Literally, I can't keep up.
No, I started to write the Google Zoo, but it just kept changing. Well, I mean, the dynamics of how Panda works and everything else didn't change, but you know, technology changing. My screenshots of my book would have actually been outdated. So, it's tough.
I should write a book on how I invented the internet.
Yay!
I like that one. Yeah, you should do that.
All right, let's move on.
I love your addition, Jim, to machine learning.
Is question 11 on our run list from Michael Tigulo. Now, Google Plus page and Google My Business, are they the same? Michael said, is a Google Plus page and Google My Business the same? He said, my client's website already has a Google Plus page and it's verified, but when I go to Google My Business, it is empty. He said, so do I need to create a Google My Business even if there is an existing Google Plus page? Thanks. And I see we got a response from Peggy K. Masataki. I must be tied up on the phone. Well, how about it? You Google My Business people?
Well, I'm wondering if basically the page that he has is actually going to be in the tab. And when you're in Google My Business, there's two tabs. You've got the location, you've got the brand page. Like Peggy was mentioning in there about brand pages are managed through the Google My Business at the same time. But I'm wondering, you know, if he doesn't see it under the local, maybe it's actually just a brand page that they're talking about versus an actual location. But he said he verified the address, so it's hard to go for it, Tim.
Yeah. So yeah, so okay, so obviously if it's got a Google Plus page, we would assume it would be a brand page. I mean, I've seen people think a business page is actually a personal page where instead of their name, they've actually added. So, so let's assume that that's a brand page. So let's select a brand page, and I verify when I Google My, and it's verified, but when I Google My Business, it's empty. So that, yeah, it was probably a brand page that you created and not an actual local business page.
Now, one
so
thing
you can create a local business page in the same account. You know, you can manage as many as you want as such. So in the same account, so you've got two options here. You can then create the local page. Once the local page is created and verified, you get the PIN code in the post. Once that's verified, you can then actually merge the two, so that your brand will actually merge into the local. So you will just have a local verified business page, and anything that you've kind of followers and done on your brand page, it will sort of fill into your local. You can't merge the local into a brand, but you can merge the brand into the local. Or you can still manage two. Now, I know, I mean, it's entirely up to you. If you believe that you can log in and kind of update both or whatever the case may be, that's entirely up to you. I have clients that are purely specifically local based and will only just want the local, and then they manage that. But then we have others who, are, plan to expand over time, and therefore it makes sense to have a brand page, a local shop, and then a local shop, and a local shop. So it makes sense to manage a brand page from your site as such, because then it's one page where people can then still interact and engage with, but then still find the individual properties through. So it all depends on yourself and how you want to do it.
That was pretty much what I was going to say, Tim. I
Hmm.
mean, I normally use the call-in function to merge accounts, though, so I don't mess anything up.
This is a complete merge when they put those two pages together?
Yeah, I was actually shocked that it creates a backup file, too.
It's not actually a merge. It's the CID is just essentially they put a 301 on it.
Okay.
So, for example, you can still find you can still take the CID, and then that was like the brand page. The SID number will still be out there, and when you look in the thing, it's just like it's not merged. It's essentially it is, because if you clicked on one, then it would redirect you to the new one. So it's essentially a redirect. But yeah, I mean, they merged in a good enough sense.
Yeah, because I was nervous because I had it was a chiropractor that had a brand page set up in the beginning and didn't have his location set up, and so I had to actually merge that information together because they'd already put together videos and posts on the brand page, and we already had the only thing we were missing is reviews, and that's where you get the local. You get a couple other perks with when you register Google My Business for your location, but. When I merged that, Jim, to answer your question, I think what happened was they actually had a backup because I was really nervous. I'm like, okay, if we lose this, can I get it back? And the lady on the phone basically said, yes, we can, and it's going to create a backup file, so we just go back and push the button again, and it goes back just in case. And I felt that was really neat functionality to ease my mind because I'm like, I don't want to have to do all this over again, or explain to the customer that, hey, I just lost all your stuff.
Yes, and usually it's when you've just taken the client on, and then they're figuring out whether they can trust you or not. All right, Michael, I hope that and the answers from Peggy and Ahmed in the SEO Questions community are useful to you. Here's one from Warrington Carpet Cleaners, ranked number 3 for the same keyword. Warrington's Carpet Cleaners said, "Hi guys, another SEO question for you. My website, www.warringtoncarpetcleaners.co.uk, is currently ranked number 3 for the same keyword." I think what he means here is he's ranked number 3 for Warrington Carpet Cleaners. The competitor at number 1 has not updated their website for 193 days. They have few backlinks, but however, they do have 10 Google Plus reviews. I was led to believe that updating your website on a regular basis helped. It does. With regards to content, they have 3 times the amount that I have. Any suggestion on how they continue to remain at number 1? Russ.
Well, I'm looking at SEMrush right now. It looks like it's fairly a new domain. I mean, traffic started spiking in January 2016. We had an uplift in March, and then a bigger uplift in May and June for your own website. Um, but a brand search like that, the Warrington carpet cleaning, you're probably going to be able to show up with that. But I haven't really dived into the site just yet completely. But I'm seeing that, like, for example, Warrington carpet cleaners on my side, average position is number 4. Uh, Not a bad looking site either.
I mean, on a plus side, you're position 1 in the local pack. If you really want to take things up another level, you certainly need to. That local pack is going to be giving you a lot more traffic actually than being position number 1, by the way. So you're already in the winning spot. I would certainly work on your reviews to get some nice little stars appearing in the local pack, and then you certainly A for away. You're going to have a couple more other problems there. You still need to build up. You've got Thompson Local, which you're going to have to build, and you've got Yale, which you're going to have to overtake. I'm assuming that you mean Arcadia Cleaners. Is that? Well, I mean, I'm just assuming. I'm guessing that's the one. Is your competitor? Very slow loading site. Okay, so they are big. They have got quite a few. They've got 2, 4, 5. They've got 5 locations. Just because they haven't updated their site in a while, it's not really got anything to do with. I mean, it certainly helps you because the way you should be using your blog is to actually to target sort of longer tail keywords to help find to help sort of position your site for what your customers are actually sort of searching for. So, I mean, carpet cleaning, it could be, oh my God, how to get rid of carpet, stains and blah, blah, or carpet. I mean, I have to do some research, but there's got to be some stuff in and around your area that, is to do with carpets and, resources around it. So cleaning products, where can I find them in the local area, all this kind of stuff. They have got a fairly large site. I mean, I'm just going to, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 top lines, and then each one of those we've got another 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6. I mean, they have a lot of content. They have. Let's just see the quality of the content. I'm going to have a look at the marble flooring. Okay. Hey, they even provide videos on their landing pages on marble floor cleaning, how to clean it. They provide a lot of FAQs.
Now, Tim, I also went on to Warrington Carpet Cleaners contact page, and you would imagine that they would. What I was looking for is their map listing on, and I couldn't find it, so I was like, okay, I'll go back into their contact page and grab their address and toss that in there.
Yeah.
I was curious when you mentioned also, he's mentioning reviews, but I was trying to just find his local listing page and I didn't have any success. When I went to the contact page, I do see his mobile, landline, and then a email address 003@gmail.com and a contact form.
Yeah. So I mean, first thing I could say, thank you, Lucky Stars. You decided on a an EMD and nobody else had it, and now you're obviously in the local pack. You can, thank the Google gods on that, mate, because you're probably getting more traffic from that than actually from a website as such. Areas we cover. Okay, I'm looking at your site.
Did you, Tim? Did you find the local listing for where those his stuff is at, or for when he's showing up in the 3-pack? I was trying to test. Okay.
Just Warrington carpet cleaners, because obviously I'm on .co.uk, so it obviously pops up straight away for me. Okay, right. I'm going to pick one of your pages. I'm going to hit.
Okay.
Oh, mate. Okay. Right. I certainly think you're overthinking some of the stuff. Right. So I've hit your carpet cleaning section. So not only do you have an EMD, which Google discounted actually having any ranking benefits until the site had actually proved itself to be worthy of positioning itself like any other site. So Warrington Carpet Cleaners has benefited you in the local pack, but not normal organic positioning for an EMD. That's been discounted. But now you're also really kind of pushing the limit there, because your carpet cleaning is carpet-cleaning-Warrington.
Yeah.
You seriously, like, this kind of stuff worked in the 80s. Now, what I want you to do is look at your competitor site, his carpet cleaning, the areas within their carpet cleaning, the amount of time and effort they've gone into creating content compared to your carpet cleaning page. Yeah, sorry. I'm not going to look at any of the others. Let me just see what kind of news you're publishing here, mate. Okay. What?
Blog 2.
Okay, your blog makes no sense. I don't know. It's probably your. Why is it all on one massive, humongous, mega page? I don't understand this. You need to really sort out your blog. That will really help you out, because although you've got, I'm trying to see here, I'm thinking we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm thinking we've got 4 articles there. Now, of course, if this is all on one page, Google, because they're not really separated in terms of with like titles and stuff like this, I think Google's probably looking at your blog page going, this makes no logical sense, because I can't understand what you're talking about, because they're in theory 4 different articles. I think you're probably doing yourself a little bit of a disservice on this. I would certainly have your blog correctly created, so that you have each article has its own individual page URL, and on your blog landing you would have snippets to your updated articles, as a normal blog. I think looking at the little logo in the top there, I don't know if this is this a. Let me have a quick view source here.
And Tim, the other thing I'm noticing on their Twitter account, they've got some great article opportunities that they can develop. I mean, they were talking about some of the differences before and after on carpet cleaning on their Twitter account. So basically turning that into an article or a blog post.
Yeah, this is I've never heard of WYSIWYG Web Builder.
What you see is what you get.
No, this is WYSIWYGWebBuilder.com.
That they
So
used to.
This is what
Yeah.
they built it with.
Okay.
Okay, so I would certainly just do some research, do some investigation, find out how you can properly create your blog page. That is probably, doing you a bit of a disservice. Nicely structured, nicely, I mean, you've got some good articles there that just doesn't make sense on what you've got there at the minute. Properly, nicely structured, interlinking to your particular page that you're talking about. But don't expect your EMD to be ranking just because you haven't updated something in a couple of days. You've got your Facebook link there. I would certainly make sure you've got your your little Google Plus there.
Just in case he doesn't know, EMD is not an improvised explosive device. It means exact match domain.
Yeah. It's really helped you in local because that algo hasn't been tweaked in 100 years. But in terms of the actual organic search, yeah. So the takeaway roundup: EMD is not going to help you. By your competition not updating their site, it's not going to help you. They've got a lot of in-depth content there. They've got quite a few locations. They're going to have so it's not just about the size. It's just they've got a lot of in-depth stuff. They've put a lot of effort into it. They've got videos, etc., etc. The biggest thing for you, I would say, is just tidy up your blog, get that sorted. Specific individual articles. And interlinking through. Certainly your reviews on your Google Plus, on your Google business page, that will stand out even more because nobody on there, even in the organic, has got review stars. So yours will be like a little beacon in the night. Certainly get that sorted whilst your site is slowly building itself up. I didn't check about any local citations. If you haven't done them, you want to start looking at building some local citations. If you want to list, you can obviously search on my site, online ownership, UK business citations. I don't list the other 500 out there. I only list sort of the top 50 that you want to sort of look at. And then, of course, if there are any specific local little directories you have in Warrington, then use those also by all means. But yeah, sort out the blog. Just ideas, once a month, twice a month update. Obviously with something that's of the same kind of quality that you're already publishing, but at least it's going to have its individual page. Get some reviews on your Google business. Every time you go out and clean someone's carpets and they come home and go, wow, can't believe it. When you're leaving, just, you can either send them a follow-up email in a couple of days and ask them, great working with you, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. Would you mind leaving a review? You can either ask them to leave a review on your Facebook or wherever you're listed. On Yelp, if you're listed on Rated People, get them to leave a review on Rated People, and also provide them the link to your Google business page. It doesn't matter specifically where, but as long as someone's leaving a review on one of the places where you're listed, that's great. Ideally, you want it on your Google business page because then you'll eventually, once you hit 5 reviews, you'll start getting your yellow stars showing up, which will be good because nobody else for that has them. So yeah, and then just keep plugging away at it. It's the name of the game.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. All right. We've done it again, guys. You've answered all of the questions asked. Well, actually, that one did drop in, I have to say, at 10:45 p.m., but it was too late to add it in to our run list for tonight. But we answered the other 12, and now we move on to our weekly SEO news roundup. I have to confess I've had a hell of a week, and I did not get my time to do my homework. So I hope you guys have had time. First article is an article from Tim Capper. So who better to talk about than you, Tim, although I hope you haven't just taken a phone call. Did you read Tim's article, William?
Which one?
the one in the news community, understanding your consumers' intent and influence.
Yeah, I read most of it, and I actually had bookmarked it to go back and read a little bit more of it. But knowing the decision online or the buying cycle is important, and what you're building around and creating that buzz. It's basically no longer just creating content. You're creating an experience all the way from the content, what it does to your engage, what parts are actually going to work with. Is your client going to come back after they finish reading this cool thing or widget that you're working with? So I guess we lost Tim. I don't hear any. Jim, I can't hear you, sorry.
Sorry, Matt, I was muted. Unfortunately, I haven't read Tim's article. And I usually read every one. Damn it. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. AJ Kane. I'm just talking to AJ Kane. He was drinking margaritas in Mexico, and the margarita he was drinking apparently was made from banana, and it was about the size of a small punch bowl. It was big. Anyway.
Okay, I interrupt your ramblings, Jim. I just need a quick consensus here.
Go ahead.
I'm listing on an article or a resource article, 4 designers, 4 web designers in the local area. Now, I've got a image for each. So what do you reckon? Put my 2 blocks with their business details and their map, then the banner logo for them, and then the questions that they answered in the interview that I asked. Or should we have banner logo top, then the 2 blocks, then their questions? Which do you think would look better? Maybe banner logo, because I think people are used to seeing a logo on top, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's true, but I'm still trying to picture what would be best.
So it would be logo, 2, and then a block of questions. That might split it up nicely. Rectangle, 2 blocks, and a rectangle of text. That might visually be better. Okay, answered myself. I'll have a play around.
Okay, did you want to talk to your article, by the way?
Oh, right. Okay, this is not a quick discussion. This is I need another coffee article. What are we talking about? AJ's. Did you do AJ's?
Well, I was partly through AJ's and just moved on from yours. Yours came up first.
You know what? Just going back to AJ's, it's quite funny enough, but not yesterday, I think the day before, I noticed another article someone published on how to optimize for rank brain.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
if you read AJ's article, you'll understand why. Yeah, that just makes no sense. Okay.
But to be fair, the headline was just a clickbait, and
Yeah,
the
I was going
actual
to say.
article
Yeah,
merely said right naturally.
yeah. So it was a bit of clickbait, and was something that we all got to do. Okay, this article, right? This was a long one. Okay, how did this come about? Right. So, think with Google is like their little sort of research arm. And they did an entire series on what they called micro moments, or basically consumer intent. And I covered this probably 3 or 4 months ago on a much smaller kind of scale. This was now looking at each kind of thing, and sort of this article didn't happen overnight. This was sort of a rambling of draft after draft after update after updates on just trying to give people a better understanding on what their users are doing and what their mindset is on how they are, using the web to make a decision, to eventually find a search result, to eventually click through. And how you as a business can look at each of these particular moments. Now, some of them may not be relevant. It all depends on what kind of business you are. But how to anticipate or try to better understand what your user's mindset is in your market on how they are searching for something online, and you can attempt to anticipate them by answering those questions and appearing in the search results for those specific answers or questions that your potential customers may be asking, and how you can find them in those moments of their purchasing journey or decision making. From the beginning, it all depends on what you're doing. So, they may start saying, what is the difference between? So if you've got a product, what is the difference between a Galaxy S4 and the Galaxy S7? That is a genuine question. Or should I upgrade? Or what is the difference? And you will be answering, you would create content on your site to answer that specific query. So you would then, you would publish that on your site, and that would be appearing for that particular question that your customers, not all the time, but may be legitimately actually searching, because they are already in the process of thinking, I want to upgrade, but what is the difference? Then, so that's the research process of a consumer, and how you can kind of look at that process, and how you can answer those questions that people ask to base themselves on a decision on ultimately on what product they want to buy, and you can influence them or be there in those stages. You can also interlink in your actual site, if on your S4, if you're selling an S4 and you're selling the S7, you can still actually resource that on page for people, because they may have found your page already, but now they're thinking, do I want to upgrade? What is the difference? And you're already there. So you can catch them whilst they're making the process, doing the research, and you can provide that answer to them when they're on site. If they happen to jump that process and already land there, you're still providing them with a resource to make the decision to stay on your site and actually, if you've answered it, to either stick with the S4 or actually purchase the S7. So there's, this article is just basically giving you a little bit better understanding on the mindset of a customer who, who makes a decision. Nobody ever woke up and said, I'm going to buy this tomorrow. They had some form of influence somewhere, whether they researched it, whether they saw an article, whether they read an article somewhere, whether they saw an advert on telly, whether they saw a documentary, nobody ever just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to buy that. That had to appear in their mind somewhere. The question is now, how are you going to find those moments in the purchase journey and potentially position yourself there to be there for that person whilst they're making the decision? If they happen to land on 2 of your articles for different queries, which are branded, obviously it's on your site, you're already starting to build that trust with that customer, with that user, because there you are providing them the information. At the bottom of it, you're not like handcuffing them and saying, buy my product. You are there saying, these are the differences. And yes, if you happen to want to now go through and buy the S7, here it is. But you are providing a genuine piece of information for the user to make a purchasing decision on, and you are intercepting their moments. So yeah, have a read, see what you think. It's quite long, so don't do it when you're in a rush, and just plot a way through it. Some interesting stuff there to think about. Every business is different. It's then up to you to take that away. There's a lot of different tools out there, in terms of market research, and even as simple as putting a notepad next to all the, next to your phone, and every time a customer happens to phone you because they found, they might be local, every time they ask you a particular question over the phone or when they're in the shop, write that down, because that is, although they're not online, they're in your shop or they're on the phone to you, they are already asking you questions which other users may be searching online. And these are ways and ideas, and so you're already gathering that just from actually existing. But you can take that further. You can do consumer surveys. You can even do consumer surveys with Google, where you can pay for them to actually reach out to more people, so you can get a broader survey list. So there's a load of ways of trying to understand how that user got to you. But I think if you're a small business, in that sense, the biggest info you have is when your phone rings or when someone walks into the store, because that is essentially, they're giving you free information. Every time they ask you a question, that's like, aha, right, how do I create something around that? If it's a little question that's got a 2-line answer, you're obviously not going to produce an entire article for that. You've got to produce, that could go onto your FAQ page. But when they do ask you a doozy of a question, that is like, okay, this is going to take a while to explain and why. That would justify a nice article. And also those FAQs where I said, may not be lengthy. Could they be a video? Could something like that be a video? Could it be something silly like, I don't know, which are the best wheels on carry-on luggage? Let's say, for example. Although it's a 1-line answer saying, you want to pick something that's got a nylon center or something. So although that might fit quite quickly on a FAQ because it's not lengthy, that actually might be a nice video. Because it's visual, you can show them the products, you can spin the little wheel, then they'll, like a little moment in their head going, aha, okay, I understand that. And of course, you've just spent your time, you've created a video, they've learned something, they understand something now. hey, let's go. I like the look of that case in the thing. Let's go and check it out. So start thinking a little bit more in terms of opportunities. Every time someone asks you a question, sends you an email, stops you in the street, even if you're at a dinner party and someone says, hey, so what do you do? And it's like, oh, I sell luggage. And someone goes, hey, shit, you know what? And they ask you a question. Every time something happens, note it down and then go back to that and go, can that be used in some way, shape, or form to influence a customer's decision, and at what point in the journey? I'm not going to talk anymore.
Well, I need you to talk a little bit, because I have lost William, and I need a comment on AJ Cohn's article.
Right. So AJ Cohn's article was brilliant. Admittedly, I made the mistake of actually trying to read that. I think it was just before I was going to bed. I saw it. It's 11 o'clock at night, and next minute it's like 20 past 11. It's 11:30. I'm thinking, oh Jesus, I've got to be up in like 5 hours for. So it was really good because AJ, he's a great writer, and he structured it really well in the argument, well, not necessarily in the argument, but of why he believes, or why you cannot necessarily optimize for rank bound. And these were the reasons. And he took the different segments from different people and research and put it all together and gave his own interpretation or in user English about it, etc. It's a really good read. If you have fallen into the, oh my lord, rank brain this, rank brain that, I really think you should spend 20 minutes reading this and understanding what actually rank brain is. Who the hell came up with rank brain anyway? That winds me up, that name. Why didn't they just call it AI or something? Mind you, people would still churn out articles. Really, extremely well written, and it takes you through the process so that you can literally see for yourself and understand why that this is it is what it is, and how to work with it, but there's no way to actually influence it.
Yeah. Okay. And there was the article posted by Edwin Yonk about people complaining that the Google Suggest was being manipulated by Google.
What I found, not actually about the article itself, what I found very interesting was about 5-6 hours after that video was published, next minute Matt Cutts is, I think it was 13 individual tweets, rubbishing this, which I thought interesting. It takes a lot to get Matt out of the garden these days. But within a couple of hours, Matt had done 13 different articles, and the Google blog had actually published an article also. Very interesting. They obviously took it very personally, because normally they just like, whatever, people go mad, say you or whatever. Yeah, very, very interesting on how it got them quite riled up so quickly. Yeah, this is a great way, and it's a brilliant way of actually showing, and hopefully people took away from this the fact that, and which everybody should understand, is you can give 10 people the same set of numbers and the same set of totals, and those 10 people can come up with 10 different arguments based upon the same set of numbers. This was just a, I don't know why they did it. I mean, I really don't believe it was just naivety. Was there an agenda? I think there might have been actually an agenda, because why would someone not actually do the flip side of the research, where they can quite clearly see that if I actually searched for the full term indictment, it will give me 100 different answers to, where Hillary did or did not break the law. So it was very selective terms, which quite clearly, if they were searching around these kind of things, they would have known that if they had, instead of searching IND, they had searched indictment, they would have got all those results.
Yeah, probably was.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows? Only they know if there was an agenda. It certainly looks like there was an agenda, because or it was completely naive journalism.
Yeah, it's probably a mixture of both.
Yeah.
All right, and we've got our last one for the evening, and that is an article by Dan Petrovic, and it was on linking, and I think that the purpose of the article was to say, for God's sake, let's stop, following links. Did you read the article, Tim?
No, I didn't read the article, but just from that, I can gather the what the article's about, and I can certainly agree with it.
Yeah.
It also depends on where. If I had a site that had 100 pages, and on every single page I had a link in the footer to the sister company, and then another sister company, and then another parent company, and then of course they had it in all of their footers, it kind of gets exceptionally messy. I don't think in terms of like no follows or anything like that. What I'm trying to say here is it just is neater, and it makes a lot more sense to people if you had a page on the site that listed the organization. It also makes a lot more sense in the semantic world, where you want to capitalize on structured data and the branding capabilities that structured data provides in the knowledge graph. So to me, it makes a lot more sense and to create one singular page on site that you would list out your structure, who the parent company is, who the sister company is of this, and the products they specifically work with, the manufacturing arm, the distribution arm, if they are, literally giving like a full-on breakdown of the entire company structure, of course linking out. Then of course there's one link to each particular, in a very highly structured way. That I think would be the best way, but certainly going on from this and all these crazy, like So what if this company links to their sister company in the footer? You know, in theory, that shouldn't matter. It's, you know, they're not trying to manipulate each other by linking to each other. They're saying, hey, this is our sister company, or this is the manufacturing arm of our distribution hub, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that we're both mentioned on that page, Tim, but I was the only one that said feck Google. Oh, we've lost Tim.
But on that chart, I am intrigued by the 17% saying don't know. So they don't know why they place links. And then 5% essentially trying to do harm to someone else, I think, to annoy, and with malicious intent, 3 and 2% respectively. So there are some interesting things in that sample, I think.
That's right. Who said malicious intent? Oh, let's see if we can find that. Yeah, nobody actually jumped up and said negative SEO, did they?
It's a dark art, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, well. How did you go, Mr. Taki? Did you get your article finished?
Yeah. Few things coming in and needing to be sent out, so it's a bit hectic at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been posting on Twitter.
Okay. Tim made a comment in the chat there.
Oh yeah. Okay, then we could keep on talking about this fascinating graph with interesting reasons. So I think you're right, Jim. I think you've mentioned this before, but Google has managed to scare the hell out of people about linking.
Yeah.
And that's why people are confused and scared that they might be doing something wrong, in the sense that something might do harm to their websites. And I think that has caused confusion, which in a sense is a pretty negative thing to happen. And we had a few questions today, didn't we, about, oh, should I place follow links within my site, or within my related set of sites, and so on and so forth. So I think there is now an awareness that you have this is something you have to be careful about, you have to think about. But the the right information, the correct information, has not really spread. So people are easily misled, people are easily confused, and people might inadvertently end up doing things that are harmful to their websites. Or perhaps they're missing out on their chances to do something good for their website. So that's an interesting element to hold to this story, and assume that the sample here, 2,000 I think, these are professionals, I would have thought. People who do this for a living. And it doesn't really inspire confidence when 17% of the people don't seem to know.
Other comment in the chat. Yes, it was a. It was. I feel Dan's pain. I'm sure I know what you mean. I mean, but yeah, that fear you mentioned. I mean, 2011, 2012, Penguin sent a lot of businesses bankrupt. and that's just well known in the industry. So you can forgive people for not being well, for being overly cautious. But yeah, for me, I really don't care. I follow links. I just imagine that Penguin doesn't exist. If I'm using, very rarely would I no follow a link. Really, really rarely. But anyway, all right, Masataki, should we wind this one up?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Everyone else is gone.
All right. When you're watching this, we thank you. We thank you for your interest in what we do, because your interest makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again, but for now,